Hey everyone, it's low carb and keto nutrition specialist Amy Berger bringing you, as always, keto without the crazy. Today's video topic is inspired by two things that have come up recently. The first, I will just drop a little hint here and then I'll tell you more about it toward the end of the video, is my team and I and Dr. Westman and everyone at Adapt Your Life Academy, we are coming out with a course all about carnivore diets. What? I will drop a link in the description for this video. So if you're curious about carnivore, carnivore curious, just click on that link. But again, I will tell you more about that toward the end of the video. I don't want to occupy too much time for those of you who are not interested in carnivore. Second thing that inspired this video is I am a member of various groups, and somebody was talking about that she had been diagnosed with a condition for which her doctor recommended an anti-inflammatory diet. And so she did what any, normal human being does these days. She immediately consulted Dr. Google. What is an anti-inflammatory diet? Anti-inflammatory foods. And of course, all kinds of nonsense came up. People say a lot of dumb stuff about food. Medical professionals say dumb stuff. Nutrition professionals say dumb stuff. Lay people, your sister, your cousin, your hairdresser's fourth grade teacher's boyfriend, everyone who wants to chime in about what you should eat, they all say a lot of dumb stuff about food. Some of them say really helpful, good stuff. I mean, some of you might have even learned about keto from one of these various and sundry folk in your life. But anyway, let's talk about anti-inflammatory diet myths. And I do have some notes. It's just chicken scratch scribbled on this paper, so I'm going to have to consult every now and then. When you look for anti-inflammatory foods or research an anti-inflammatory diet, it is very, very often going to be low to no red meat, or low to no any fatty animal foods of any kind. No red meat, go easy on the pork, no processed meats, no bacon, no sausage, goodbye to your prosciutto, goodbye to your salami, goodbye to your pepperoni, and all those yummy foods that we can have on a keto or carnivore diet. And you will likely be advised to eat lots of whole grains, all those healthy whole grains, and eat a rainbow of vegetables, right? A rainbow of fruits and vegetables, a wide variety of colors. Beans are always on the anti-inflammatory list. There's never enough beans for these people. You might even be told to avoid dairy. Dairy can cause all sorts of issues. And yet, how do we explain the many, many people who have had massive improvements, if not complete remission, of a huge list of conditions that are supposedly inflammatory conditions associated with inflammation, like inflammatory bowel disease, IBD. Inflammatory is right in the name. And people with IBS and IBD often have massive improvements when they go on diets that include lots of those supposedly highly inflammatory foods, right? And, inflammation really is your body's response to injury. I don't want to go down the rabbit holes of acute inflammation versus chronic inflammation. Just know that inflammation is your body's response to injury. Sometimes we need inflammation. Inflammation is a good thing. It helps us heal. It helps us stay alive. Sometimes it's too much, and our body is inflamed for really no reason, or reasons that we don't know of. Anyway, any condition that ends in itis, I-T-I-S, at least in the English language, anything that ends in itis implies that it is an inflammatory condition. Colitis, tonsillitis, appendicitis, arthritis, what else? Anything itis. And don't we all know of people, again, who have experienced radical improvements in several of these itis, these inflammatory conditions, not only while including lots of those supposedly inflammatory foods, lots of red meat, lots of fatty pork, but while having no beans. Like, let's say you're doing keto, maybe you have no beans whatsoever. Maybe you're not eating any fruit at all. Maybe you're following Dr. Westman's page 4 diet. There's a link below. Where there's no fruit, even if it's a low sugar fruit like berries. Maybe you're not eating a rainbow. You're not eating tons and tons of brightly colored fruits and vegetables. And yet you have experienced improvement or complete resolution of arthritis, colitis, whatever other itis. And I guess, I did forget to say that anti-inflammatory diets, you got to get protein from somewhere. And if you're not going to get it solely from beans, they just recommend fish, right? Fish can do no wrong, but don't you dare touch that steak. Get your paws off that burger. Don't you even think about having that fatty, greasy, delicious burger patty. You eat your fish and you like it. Not that I'm bad-mouthing fish. I love me some fish. But anyway, I'm just saying that how do we explain the growing numbers of people on a keto diet, and even more so on a carnivore diet, healing some of these really severe inflammatory conditions that either didn't get better at all or got only a little bit better with the best current known treatments, the best known drugs, the best known whatever other interventions. Those things did almost nothing compared to what a ketogenic or carnivore diet has done for these people. Maybe you are one of them, somebody out there watching right now. And let's lean on carnivore just for a minute, because it's such a stark contrast. And the keto, for most people, does still include some plant matter, some vegetables, for some people a little bit of fruit, in certain quantities. But let's say you're doing the carnivore diet. No fruits or vegetables whatsoever. You're not eating a rainbow of anything. Your rainbow is like brown and beige and red, like depending on the kinds of meats you eat. Maybe there's some yellow on your plate if you eat eggs. Your rainbow is a lot less diverse of your food rainbow on a carnivore diet, right? And if you're eating no plant foods, not only are you not eating lots of fruits and vegetables, no beans, none of that, you're also not eating all of the supposedly anti-inflammatory spices. Don't we constantly hear about like ginger and turmeric as being anti-inflammatory? Right? And I'm consulting my notes because I know I wrote something about this. Yeah. So, and here you are eating nothing but the foods that are supposedly really inflammatory, nothing but red meat or fatty pork chops or bacon or salami, or I know a lot of carnivore people don't do dairy, but some of you do. Maybe you're eating cheese. Maybe you're eating yogurt. You're probably eating butter, even if you don't eat cheese and yogurt, cottage cheese and all that, right? Here you are doing exactly the opposite of what is supposed to help resolve inflammation, and you are totally resolving your inflammation. And so where is the curiosity? Where is the curiosity on the part of doctors, dietitians, nutritionists, health coaches who warn you against those foods that are supposedly highly inflammatory? Where is the curiosity of someone who's telling you that your health, your improvement in an inflammatory condition is best served by avoiding all that and doing the rainbow and eating your beans, and you better have an IV hooked up to that whole grain? Can we get like quinoa and couscous and buckwheat in a liquid form that I can just inject right there, or what? Like, you know what I mean? Where this should be sparking massive curiosity. To anyone with a scientific mind, they should be thinking, what? Wait a minute, these people are eating nothing but meat or nothing but animal foods, right? You might be eating some of that beloved fish, but along with that beloved fish, you're probably eating beloved steak, beloved burger patties, beloved roasts, beloved chops, bacon, sausage, what have you, right? Oxtails, who knows what. And by their thinking, your condition should be getting worse. You should be in more pain. You should be more inflamed. Your skin should be more red, more broken out. Your joints should hurt more. And here you are, thriving with all of that stuff massively improving or disappearing completely. Where is the curiosity? These people should be itching to study you. They should be banging down doors. Let me study you. Let me put you in a metabolic ward. Like, I have to understand this better, because your experience and the experience of so many other people is blowing my mind. And it goes against everything I was taught. It goes against everything I've believed. It goes against everything I've told my patients or clients or whatever, type of professional it is. I need to understand this better, because holy cow, you're doing so much better. I have a ton of patients or clients that I could help if I understood what you were doing. Because here is my take, just as a little aside. I have always been a keto and low carb oriented nutritionist. I went to graduate school for nutrition after I had already started following a low carb diet myself. I was so fascinated by it and so taken with how am I having success doing the opposite of what I thought was a healthy diet. I'm not having skim milk with my whole grain cereal and my fat-free bran muffin, ditch all that and have bacon and eggs, and I'm losing weight. I couldn't help but want to learn more. So I didn't even get started in this field until after I was already low carb and keto oriented. But low carb and keto, with low carb and keto, I could absolutely understand the science and the biochemistry. And every time I say biochemistry, I kind of do this because I picture a metabolic pathway in a textbook. So it's biochemistry. It just makes me think of looking at a textbook with this your pathway with all these branches. Anyway, I could understand the biochemistry and the physiology of low carb and keto to the point where it makes and made total sense to me that no, you don't need whole grains. No, you don't need grains of any kind. No, you don't need beans of any kind. You don't need starch or sugar of any kind. A human body can thrive with no carbohydrate or with very, very little carbohydrate, let's say, because I knew that, keto, the way that I learned it, still includes vegetables, and some people can tolerate small amounts of lower sugar fruit. It's all individual as to how much carbohydrate any one of us can have in a day and still get the results we want. So my approach to keto was always just very, very low carb. It wasn't no carb or zero carb, except that ever since I've been working for the last several years with Adapt Your Life Academy and with Dr. Westman, his food list, the vegetables are actually optional. And it's such a small amount anyway. Those of you that are familiar, it's just 20 total grams of carbohydrate per day or fewer. And 20 total grams when you do not subtract fiber or sugar alcohols, that doesn't leave a lot of room for vegetables. The carbohydrate in broccoli and zucchini does actually add up pretty quick when you don't subtract the fiber. So I could kind of say, okay, maybe we don't need the vegetables, because I know sometimes people don't eat them, and Dr. Westman says it's okay not to. 20 total grams of carbs, even from the vegetables, is a limit to stay under, not necessarily a goal to hit. So it was always fine. We've always taught people it's totally okay if you want to have less than 20. But overall, my training, my education, my understanding of human physiology and biochemistry and all that, I was thinking, well, no, we don't need starch, we don't need sugar, and we don't need a lot of carbohydrate, but we do still need fiber, right? I mean, you've got to have fiber. You've got to have leafy greens. What about the phytochemicals, right? What about resveratrol? What about curcumin? What about beta carotene? What about, lutein, zeaxanthin? What about all these other phytochemicals, these compounds that we get from plants? And over the years, as carnivore has become more popular, and especially as I learned about it even very early on, years ago, before it really exploded the way it is now, I still was I was very reluctant, very hesitant about it, but I could not deny what I was seeing. I couldn't deny the person upon person upon person that I would see with an incredible testimonial of healing. And not only was this person just kind of like barely eking by, they were thriving. They had, again, these radical improvements or total resolutions of long-standing, severe, intractable, meaning really difficult to treat, medical issues. Things that the drugs didn't help. Other strategies and interventions and therapies didn't help. Even keto. Keto probably helped a bit, but didn't take them all the way. And what took them all the way, that last step of really feeling their best, was getting rid of all plant foods. How could I not be curious? With a scientific mind, with wanting to learn about something that's really different from what I'm used to. And not only that, something that could possibly help myself or help me help other people, help me help my clients. Maybe there are some clients for whom carnivore would be great. And in fact, over the years, I have recommended a carnivore diet, not often, but a few times, when I thought that it was the most likely, most effective, best thing for that person's unique, specific circumstances at that time. Even on the cases when I've recommended carnivore, it wasn't necessarily like, okay, you have to do this forever, you're never going to eat plants again. It was kind of like, this is worth trying. Based on what you have going on, my best advice is this. Let's do it for 30 days, 60, 90 days. Let's see what happens. If there's no change, if you don't notice anything better, well, just go back to what you were doing before. No big deal. But this is worth trying. I had to get over my fear of that. And the way I did it was not only just researching more, understanding the literature, understanding more of the physiology and biochemistry, but just looking at everything happening. Now, believe you me, not everything on the internet is real or true. There's a lot of scams. There's a lot of nonsense BS out there. But again, like I said earlier, so many of you probably learned about keto through the internet, through someone on YouTube or someone on Reddit or someone on, I don't know what anymore, Instagram, and not even a doctor or a dietitian or nutritionist. Maybe some random layperson, some non-professional who lost 100 pounds or who reversed their type 2 diabetes, who reversed their PCOS, who reversed their fatty liver, who had all these amazing things happen. So the internet can be an absolutely fabulous resource to learn about diet, but it can also be a total hellish, scammy, cringeworthy cesspool. So I forget why I'm even saying this. I got so passionate, ranty, that I lost my point. I think I was just saying that, that I had seen so many people documenting their personal experience with carnivore, that how could I just think, oh no, they're all lying. Some of them might be. Like I said, internet is very scammy. There's definitely some liars and con artists out there. They're not all lying. They can't all be making this up. And I mean, I know some of these people I know in person, but I'm just talking about the wealth of anecdotal reports out there. I don't know all the thousands of people doing carnivore. I know a few personally. So I see them with my very eyes. I know what they're doing. But for people that are mired in the old school thinking, and again, that anti-inflammatory, these dumb things that people say about nutrition, where is the curiosity? I was wildly curious about carnivore, but for someone who recommends a balanced diet, how can you possibly explain the growing number and exploding number of people reporting unbelievable, unprecedented improvements in health by doing the opposite of what is being recommended for the most part. And don't get, I could probably do a video sometime on the balanced diet. What is a balanced diet? Is it, they always joke, it's a sleeve of Oreos in both hands. That's a balanced diet. Or is it, 50% foods that don't send my blood sugar through the stratosphere if I have type 2 diabetes, and 50% foods that do send my blood sugar through the stratosphere? Is that a balanced diet? Is a balanced diet, 33 1/3% fat, 33 1/3% carbs, 33 1/3% calories for protein? Is that balanced? Equal percentage of calories from all three macronutrients? Like, what? Stop talking nonsense. A balanced diet. Define it. How exactly do I balance my diet? It's nonsense. And equally nonsensical is the anti-inflammatory diet. An anti-inflammatory diet does not require turmeric and ginger and black pepper and cardamom and all these warming anti-inflammatory spices. It doesn't require lots and lots of fruits and vegetables and beans and whole grains, and don't you dare eat fatty animal food unless it's fatty fish. It doesn't require that. It requires foods that you do not react to. It requires foods that do not create inflammation in your body. And if nightshade vegetables are creating inflammation for you, guess what? Your anti-inflammatory diet probably shouldn't include, red peppers and tomatoes and eggplant and whatever else is in the nightshade family that's not coming to me at the moment. It's just, if you have no inflammatory reaction to a nice fatty New York strip steak or a nice fatty T-bone or a porterhouse, we got to give love beyond the ribeye. I know everybody's always glorifying the ribeye in the carnivore world and the keto world as well. I got to give some love to the New York strip and the T-bone and the porterhouse. Anyway, let me make sure that I've covered everything in my chicken scratch notes. Yeah, again, I just can't emphasize that enough. Where is the curiosity of people harping on this anti-inflammatory diet when you have people having incredible transformations in health with zero of those supposedly anti-inflammatory foods, zero fruits and vegetables, zero whole grains, zero beans, zero herbs and spices? And here they are eating foods that would make, like a dietitian cringe in horror. They're eating fatty meat. Maybe they're eating some delicious cheese, some aren't. I do know dairy can be inflammatory for some people, but all right. I think I've said my piece. My point is this poor woman, this woman that inspired this video when she said, what is an anti-inflammatory diet? This is what they recommend, this and this and that. And I was just like, oh my goodness. And it wasn't my program. It wasn't my group. So I was not at liberty to jump in and say like, oh, let me tell you the real story. But this is what's out there. It is nonsensical. Okay. Let me get back to the carnivore course. This was not intended to be an advertisement for the carnivore course. I was really just talking more about the the myth of an anti-inflammatory diet and what it can really contain. Now, I should say though, an anti-inflammatory diet, the way to construct that is to eat foods that do not cause you inflammatory symptoms or immune type symptoms, a histamine reaction or whatever. Some of you can eat lots of fruits and vegetables. Some of you can eat beans. Some of you can eat grains. These foods are not poisonous for, not everybody needs keto, right? Like, hello, you've probably, I hope, if you're not new to my channel, you've heard me say that before. Not everyone needs an ultra strict keto diet. Some people can eat that whole range of foods and never experience an inflammatory condition in their whole life. So, but if you do, there is no such thing as the anti-inflammatory diet. What is anti-inflammatory for you might not be anti-inflammatory for somebody else. So you just need to identify the foods that cause you problems. And some of them might be on a typical anti-inflammatory diet. You know what I mean? They might be telling you to eat them. About the carnivore course, enrollment opens in late July. We are aiming for July 28th. I hope we get everything done in time. But like I said, get on the wait list. I'm going to link to it in the notes. There's no obligation to actually register for the course or to pay for the course if you're on the wait list. All the wait list does is it guarantees you a spot if you do want to enroll when enrollment is open, and you will be on the mailing list for the course so that as we trickle out some more details about it, you will be notified so you can really get the full idea of what the course includes. And I'm doing this because we are currently finalizing the page with all the information and details on it. I'm just like, oh, it's the page, the web page. So don't hesitate at all to sign up for the wait list if you are at all interested in this. Because if you don't want to, buy the course when the time comes, all you have to do is just not buy it. But, if you have taken any of ADAPT's courses in the past, with Dr. Westman, with me, with Vera Tarman, with whoever, and you enjoy the way that we try to teach in a science-based, evidence-based, practical, simple, straightforward, real-world way that works in your life, whether you are single and work from home or whether you got 6 kids and you work 2 jobs and all the things, how can you implement this in your life, whether you have a very calm, unstressed life or like you're burning the candle at 10 ends, not both ends, 2 ends. Like if your candle had 10 ends, they would all be burning. And really, if you have been curious about carnivore and you would like to learn more, but you are hesitant to learn from weirdos on the internet. I mean, I guess I'm a weirdo on the internet, but everybody's a weirdo on the internet, right? No, you know what I mean by like uncredentialed, unscrupulous influencers who don't have a steeping in the science and the safety, how to guide you safely. Then if you value that kind of trusted, simple, safe, straightforward, clinically proven information and guidance, then I do think you will really appreciate our carnivore course. Dr. Westman teaches it, and I, of course, help to contribute a lot of the content, a lot of the guides that we have that you'll learn about, like a lot of the just tips and, how to find a doctor that's friendly to this, and how to order in a restaurant if you're on a carnivore diet. How do you survive with a social life if you don't ever eat any plants? Like we've got all of that covered. And so yeah, and there are live sessions. Dr. Westman does one of them. I do one of them. And if you are into the carnivore diet and you happen to know Laura Spath, gorgeous blonde-haired gal who does carnivore, who's amazing, she is actually going to do a guest live session for us as well. So do check that out if you are so inclined. And if you hate carnivore, if you're tired and you never want to think of anything carnivore, then I'm sorry you had to sit through that. I hope you lasted through it, because I would just like to remind you, if you are not already subscribed to my channel, what in the world? What are we waiting for? Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss new things. And go through my archives. I've been making videos for like 7 or 8 years now. If you're bored, scroll through. If you're going to binge on something, better my videos than a bunch of sugar, right? Maybe a little keto without the crazy video binge someday. And until next time, promise me one thing. You will keep the crazy out of your keto. Thank you for watching. See you next time.